Well, you
hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. You are a dominant force more than anybody I know. Well, maybe my husband, Gene. Between the two of you, you guys are such a powerhouse, and it's a good thing in a personality, but you come across so positive and so motivating. It's just incredible. And you get so much this. Given all these tools that we're going to be learning, I want to take a step back with you if I can, and I want to ask you just one question tonight. As a tool building, I want to ask you how it all started. I want to know why Nutri-Thin. Because I don't think you just woke up one morning and said, I think I'm going to make this amazing product that is going to become an international company. There had to be something way back when. Why Nutri-Thin? Because she mentioned it last night on the Ignite phone call through SPX Nutrition that even just with Nutri-Thin alone, this business is still going to go, hugely, globally, internationally, more than it's already going. And, of course, more products I'm sure are going to be introduced in the future. But it all started with Nutri-Thin. Can you take us back to the very beginning and why?
Well, I actually thank you very much for having me on the call, Chrissy. I appreciate your time, and so I'll try not to go too long. But there's so much involved in why that happened, how that happened, and how it came together. So I'll try to figure out a way to give you the Reader's Digest version so we don't go on forever. But I actually was first introduced to Nutri-Thin from a gentleman who's been in the industry for a long, long time, and his family actually started an MLM back in the early 80s, and that company's still around. Of course, they've sold it for a lot of money, and it's still around, does an amazing amount of money. And he was their formulator for that. And, talk about networking, it's people that you know. And so he came to me to ask me, because at the time I was into doing consulting for people, helping them get their MLMs up and running, and he had retired from there and his contract run out, and he had formulated a product and wanted to bring me on board as a partner to help take that to market and almost to be a guinea pig. And so as I talked to him and I dove into why it was they created the product the way that it was created, I really became intrigued as the fact that, first of all, we all know that there's so many diet things out there, and unfortunately most of them are scams or shams or oils or, snake potions, whatever. And so I was intrigued at the fact of the science behind it and why it was supposed to do what it did. And so to speed ahead, I actually tried the product to see if it really worked, because if it didn't work for me, and I took it and I was actually blown away like everybody else is when they try our product. I couldn't believe the energy I had, couldn't believe how it controlled my appetite, and within 30 days I had friends of mine telling me, dude, I can't believe how much weight you lost. And I thought, really? I look the same? I don't really see any difference. But I remember Brett telling me, we were at lunch one day standing in line to get a salad, and he said, man, your face is just different. And I'm like, yeah, you're crazy. I feel the same. But then I realized I had lost weight because I really at the time wasn't watching it. And I knew I felt better. I knew I wasn't eating much, and I was happier. And so I began to become really intrigued in it, so I got into it. What I found that was so cool about it was the fact of it really targeted the three areas that we try to target in weight loss, and it really had something different than everybody else had tried. Everybody else has tried the placebos and all the stuff, and if they did a lot of research, I won't agree with those, but I found out, and they showed me studies and things that people were doing, and they actually reverse engineered many products out there, which I won't tell you the name of them, you'd be shocked, and they're nothing but a placebo. They tell you they have something in there. They tell you that it has this herb that causes this, or this tea or whatever that does that, and it doesn't do anything. It literally is a placebo. Yeah, it tricks your mind into thinking that it works, which is cool because we all go back to the thing about, the mind is a powerful thing, and if you believe it, you can achieve it, and that's great, and that works. But this took a different approach. So they really looked and said, they did some study and said, why is it that some of these things fail? And the main thing was controlling the appetite. And so, what's the best way to do that, and why is that? And so they researched into that. They interviewed people. They did studies. They found out, and this guy was brilliant, said, we started to talk to people and said, why why is it that diets don't work? And they ask people, what diets have you tried? I've tried this, that. And what did you do? What symptoms did you do? How did you feel? What was your energy levels? What did you do? What was your day-to-day thing? Why did you quit? Most importantly, why did you quit? And what they found was that when people, because we don't live a healthy lifestyle, when people all of a sudden took an abrupt change and they said, okay, I'm going to start this new diet. I'm taking this pill that has something supposed to make me not be hungry anymore, and now I'm going to try, or they try a diet, or they're giving them the boxed foods, and you try to do that, all of a sudden it's a shock to your system. You're not eating the pizza and the ribs and all the good junk food and the hamburgers and stuff, and so you're not eating that. It's a shock to the system. Your body's used to that, and now it's a shock, and so all of a sudden you become stressed, you become tired, you become angry, you become grumpy, and so what do? In America, we turn to what? We turn to comfort foods, typically chocolates, desserts, because they give us that little bit of euphoric feeling and make us have a temporary happiness, if you will. So when we're stressed or we're depressed, we're mad, we're ornery, we're grumpy, we're tired, we're miserable, what do? We go home and I'm going to get into that big thing of ice cream or chocolate or whatever. So then they said, okay, so all these people have this thing in common. They all search out those junk foods, those comfort foods. So then this is what intrigued me, Chrissy, is they said, okay, so why is it that everybody's doing that? Why are they not going, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat, I'm going to get a sense of satisfaction, I'm going to run down and get me a stalk of celery. They said, why is it that all these people, the common denominator is they're all reaching for these certain foods? So then they took it a step farther. What are in those certain foods that cause people to crave that? That's when they found out that there are things in there that trigger the endorphins and the receptors in our brain, and they discovered it's called neuroscience, that they discovered that it triggers those endorphins, those neurotransmitters in our brain that release a sense of euphorism or a sense of satisfaction or a sense of love and peace. And they said, cool. So now what's in those foods that causes that chemical reaction? So that's when they found out what it was. And there are certain ingredients in foods that cause that reaction. And they found out that those are naturally occurring in foods. And so it was cutting edge and said, why not take that, put that into a pill? So now when you take that, it feeds those receptors, you get that satisfaction, you're alleviating that stress, you're alleviating that fussiness, that mad, that depression, you're good. And that's why people call it the happy pill, because now we're feeding the endorphins, we're feeding their mind, we're getting them happy, and now they're in a good mood. So now when you look at those foods, people don't realize it. What's happening, Chrissy, is they're taking Nutri-Thin, they look at that chocolate ice cream, and they go, it doesn't look as good as it normally does, because we've already fed their brain with the endorphin-releasing food powers without adding the calories. And now they're able to, because they know they're on a diet, I'm not really stressed, I'm in a pretty happy mood, and now it makes that junk food less appealing. And when it's less appealing to you, and you're not stressed, you're not angry, you're not depressed, you have a higher success rate of not eating those foods, therefore being successful in your weight loss. And then as you stay with that, those little small changes where you don't crave that, it's no different than trying to stop smoking or alcohol. It's an addiction. Folks, we have a food addiction. And now all of a sudden you're able to back away from that. And now once you get away from that, you're no longer addicted because you're already getting those natural things in your endorphins in your mind. And so now you can train yourself. And now those small changes over time become lifestyle habits and lifestyle changes, which can result in what many of us have had, yourself included, is you can literally have life-changing, permanent results. And so I guess that's what intrigued me about that product. I finally realized it's different than anything out there. So when people say, oh, we have a product like that, they're full of it. They may think they do, but they don't. And that's why we don't release that out. And so a lot of times they're just placebos, or they're trying to fill you up with fibers. As soon as you go to the restroom, you're hungry again. Those things are no different than drinking water. So I guess I was just amazed, one, that it worked on me, and nothing has ever worked on me because I've never met a food I didn't like. I'm an old bodybuilder, I didn't care. I love food, but I just really didn't care. And I still did cardio. I still tried to go to the gym. The bottom line,
Right.
my weight was big. You knew me. I was the big Buddha. That's where I got the name the Big Daddy. I was the big 295-pound guy that could pick you up and throw you off the top of a houseboat. I lifted weights. I tried cardio. I hated cardio. You ever seen an elephant try to run a marathon? Doesn't work. And so I hated it. But now when I took the Nutri-Thin, it gave me the energy. And as I was happier, now all of a sudden I didn't hate cardio. It was okay. So I literally, when people say that you changed, I didn't do anything different. What happened was Nutri-Thin changed the way I looked at food, and it changed the foods that I chose. And now the things that I already did because I was already active were much easier now. My energy levels were higher. My attitude was better, and I loved it. So I kept doing what I did, but Nutri-Thin literally gave me the power and the strength to change something. So when it changed me, Chrissy, then I became interested. Then I dove into the science. And I got with Scott, and I said, why is that? And then I became intrigued. And this guy's head just spits information about the human body and science and nutrition and formulation. And he blew my mind with it because at the time we actually were working on a nasal spray that was great because that's, a lot of people don't know that that's through the nasal mucosa is an incredible way to get vitamin B12 into your system. And some of his studies, just to show you, shows that people with autism have a hard time digesting that, but that's one way they can do it, is through the nasal mucosa. So he just knew all this science, and I was intrigued, and the more I dove into it, I realized this is a product unlike anything else that I've seen before. And what he said is what I created 15 years ago was old technology, and we changed a lot of people's lives, and that product is still sold today. But he said now with what I've learned, what we've discovered in science and research, and the idea that I have now, would blow that away 20 times, and I believe that's what we had. And I'll never be able, because of the contract, to tell you what company is and what product. I know what it is, and that product fails in comparison. This is something like that, but a hybrid. So I guess that's the long version to your short question.
No, actually, that's a phenomenal one because, I mean, this is exactly the type of story that we all need to share. And, you know, the history behind this, because this is what started it all. Now we have the tools here, and people are going to be able to go back and listen to this recording, and they're going to arm themselves with this education. And so when somebody asks, you know, but okay, why? This is what we need. We need this knowledge. We need this education, and that's what we're here for as this group. So I thank you for taking the time to go into the detail that you did, because it's actually very cool. I didn't realize that they reverse engineered it as much as they did, that deep science behind it. That actually instills even more pride in everything that we do here in SPX Nutrition. So I thank you for your time to come in and give the detail that you did. That was just amazing.
Well, you're quite welcome.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, and that one thing led to the other, and that's probably some of the things that you hear Vicki talk about. So then because I felt so passionate about it that I decided to invest some money into that as I was helping them. One thing turned into another, and I decided that I really loved it. I felt that it could really change people's lives, so I invested a fortune into it so that I ended up buying into that and purchasing the formulation and the brand and the trademark to it. That's how it came. And then that dovetailed into, and I really wasn't sure what I was going to do, Chrissy, because, you know, running an MLM company is a big pain. It's very difficult. It's very stressful. It's very demanding. And so really, I think my first thing was I knew I could change lives. I really actually thought about just throwing that out and just doing infomercials. Let me tell you, it's much easier to just blast stuff out through the media and ship product. You don't really have to deal with all the ins and outs of commissions and team buildings and trainings and all that, listening to people whine when they don't make millions because they sit on their butt and think that they can. But then because my heart is really into the network marketing thing, and I really realized that you can make money in it. You can be very successful because I've done it. And so I've proved that it can be done with hard work and dedication and branding. But then I also saw the other part that we often talk about on our calls, are all those roadblocks and the things that happen that really stop people from making money. So then it got me fired up, and then with some push from other people and, you know, people on the corporate team and business partners and Tracy telling me, you know, it's a great thing. Let's push it that way. We can do that. Let's change all that. So, you know, we went out. That's a whole other story, but we dove into it. We did it. And I think we've done a good job because now you can see that now, and I guess what that ties into, Chrissy, is saying that now we have a product that is really worth something. That's why when I say we have products that work, that are $1 million products, but we don't sell them for $1 million, and our products work. I can't emphasize that enough. And me telling you this right here explains why I know that it works. You know, and if you guys knew what I know and how many products I've seen people sit at a cocktail table and create a diet pill or some supplement and then take it out to market, they market off of hype. It has no value, has no science, has no proof, which is different. So that's what makes this so refreshingly different, is that it's an impact product. And so then we coupled it up, and that's how it turned into an MLM. And we're off and running, and we have people that have never done it before that are making money. So that's that, and I'll shut up.
Well, that's never going to be true. You know what, bottom line, I thank you for doing it. That it's exactly what you said, that you could have done the infomercials, but it becomes something, to me, very deeper pride, too, that it's not just going out to the masses and just anybody could buy it. It is the American dream, and it's actually a lot of people's dream. It could be even an international dream, to be in business for yourself, where you own your own time and you own your own life, and exactly what you did with the website, too, and changing that this is your life. How do you want to spend your time? Where do you envision yourself in years to come? And through owning a business and being a part of a network marketing, that you have that opportunity to do that rather than just buying a very good product, a phenomenal product off of an infomercial. So for you to make that choice to structure your business in this manner, I thank you, because you're not just changing the health of our lives, you're also helping with financial freedom and changing the wealth aspect of everybody's lives, and that speaks volumes. Well, I'm going to close this on something that you actually say before on a different phone call that I remember listening in on, and this is very, very true. And I'm going to close this call tonight on this. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Take this moment and make it perfect. You did that, Rick, with this company, and now we are all here to carry on that legacy and just keep creating perfect moments and build SPX Nutrition to be the legacy that it's already long on the road, already on its way, hugely. So everybody, you know what? Thank you for being here tonight on our team phone call. Again, I told you I want to keep these short, about 30 minutes. We are just approaching the 30-minute mark. I'm thrilled about that. So with that, I'm going to bid everybody a wonderful good night, and we will see you next Tuesday, and let's keep on building SPX. All right, guys. Love you all. Have a great night.